Merry Christmas everyone! I hope you're having a very festive and fun day today. Today I am so excited to share the results of my Christmas collaboration challenge with you. I received so many amazing art and story submissions and I can't wait to share them with you. At the start of December, I challenged you to draw your character in a Christmas themed outfit or write a Christmas themed story. Today I will be putting those characters together in one giant drawing while reading your Christmas themed stories. Let's share our wonderful creations and create a masterpiece together. Please keep in mind that today's video is broken into two parts. If you want to see the final results of this challenge, make sure to watch both parts of this video. In this first part, I'm going to be drawing myself Midnight in a Christmas themed outfit. I thought it would be really fun to create this challenge and celebrate Christmas with you all. I always love seeing all of the amazing things you guys create, and I really wanted to create an opportunity to share those amazing things. I think it's so important that us creative people need to support each other and work together, and I think when we encourage each other, I think we can all create amazing things. I've seen so many wonderful things recently in all of the amazing submissions that you guys have sent in the art submissions and the story submissions, and I think the thing I find the most amazing of all is the fact that every one of you has a unique style and a unique way of drawing or writing a story, but every single one of them is something amazing. I feel like it's been such a wonderful opportunity to be able to create this with you all, and to be able to put together such a fun collaboration. So throughout this video, I'm going to be featuring each of your characters, and while I feature the characters, I'm going to read your Christmas themed stories. I hope you enjoyed today's video as much as I enjoyed putting it together. This first story is called Spending Christmas with My Cute Bunny Girl by Catgirl. Haruto laid in his bed, slowly opening his eyes. He yawned before sitting up. Even though it had been a year since he got transported into a world full of people who were half animals, Haruto was still always overjoyed to wake up in this world. It was too good to be true to him. Haruto had loved the bed he was sitting in much more than the one he had back on Earth. It felt 100 times more warm and comforting. The big window that was right behind the left side of his bed had caught his eye, and he looked through it and everything was white. It was snowing. Even the sidewalk was covered in snow. The village house roofs were covered in snow, and the demi-humans and big wagons that usually wandered the village were nowhere to be seen. Haruto's eyes widened. I had no idea it snowed in this world, he shrieked. He reached out to the top of the wooden headboard leg that was behind his bed to take his grey hoodie that hung there. He then put the grey hoodie over the white t-shirt he was wearing. He walked downstairs to where Miko, the black-haired, bunny-eared girl, stood. She noticed Haruto walking down the stairs. Morning, Miko, Haruto said once he got to her. Good morning, said Miko. Hey Haruto, I was thinking we should go to the village cafe today. Of course, once the snowplow drivers are done clearing the snow, said Miko. That's a great idea. When the snow was clean enough to walk in, Miko put on a red scarf and a black coat over her baby pink sweater. Haruto put on a blue scarf. When the two of them made it to the cafe, they took a seat in a booth by the front window. Hello, welcome to our village cafe. What would you like to order? A village cafe waitress asked as she stood at Haruto and Miko's table. Haruto and Miko were holding their menus, staring at them. Miko closed her menu, put it down, and looked at the waitress. I'd like hot chocolate with whipped cream, please, she said. Okay, the waitress replied as she wrote down on a small notebook in her hand. Large, medium, or small? Medium, please, Miko said. Got it. And what would you like, sir? Haruto unintentionally ignored the waitress, still staring at his menu and spacing out. Sir? Called the waitress. Haruto did not respond. Haruto, Miko said. Haruto looked at Miko, then at the waitress that was standing to his left. Haruto looked at Miko, then at the waitress that was standing to his left. He put down the menu. I'd like chocolate, please. There was an awkward silence. Haruto was confused why, until he realized he forgot to add the hot before the chocolate. His face turned really red, and he shrieked out, I mean hot chocolate, hot chocolate. Why did I have to scream that? Idiot, 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 thought Haruto. Neko was blushing herself. She felt embarrassed for him. When the waitress left, Haruto folded his arms on the table and buried his face in them. I want to die, he said in a small voice. It's okay, Haruto. Mistakes like this happen, Neko said with an awkward smile. Eventually, Haruto's embarrassment faded away and they got their drinks. They had their hot chocolate in tall glass cups. Hey Miko, Haruto started as he was twirling around the straw that was in his hot chocolate. Do you know what Christmas is? Christmas? What's a Christmas? Is it something from those animes? Neko asked. It's called anime. Anyway, Christmas is some kind of celebration we had back in my world. Would it be okay if I could teach you about it? I'd really love to celebrate it with you. Sure, it'd be nice learning more about where you came from. Really? Thanks a bunch. I promise to make sure you have a lot of fun. Haruto and Miko stood in a forest while Haruto was staring at the chopped down modern Tannenbaum tree that laid on the ground in front of him. This one's good, Haruto said. Miko peered over his shoulder. A tree? She questioned. Not just any tree, Miko, Haruto said, shaking his pointer finger. He then went in front of the tree, grabbing the top of it with his hands. This is a Christmas tree, he shrieked while struggling to pick the tree up. Do you need help? Asked Miko. No, I'm good. I'm a grown man. I can handle this. You just sit back and don't worry about a thing. I got this. He then let go of the tree so he could catch his breath. Miko then sighed and walked over to the end of the tree and held onto the bottom of it. Hey, I said don't worry, Haruto said. Let's just go, Miko cut him off. Okay, Haruto said. He sighed, then got a hold of the top of the tree again. The two lifted the tree up and started walking with it. Welcome home, Haruto. Where did you go? Asked Miko, after she opened the front door of her and Haruto's house. The tree they got was now in the living room in front of their couch. Haruto stood in the doorway, holding two cardboard boxes with one stacked on the other. Soon enough, the boxes were placed on the living room floor. One of the boxes was filled with paper clips, while the other was filled with colourful, squishy toy ants. Haruto and Miko stared at the boxes. So what do we do with these? Miko asked. What would I do? Haruto took a paperclip and a toy ant and then unfolded the bottom point of the paperclip, dug it through the ant's back in front of Miko, and hung it on the Christmas tree. Miko was really fascinated by this. She was really impressed with how creative Haruto was being. With that, Haruto and Miko began decorating the tree with ant toys while smiling and enjoying themselves. When they were done, Haruto created a paper star to place at the top of the tree. It was dawn when Miko sat on Haruto's shoulders while holding the star and placing it on the top of the tree. There, she said. Nice job, Miko, said Haruto. Miko got onto the floor and the two stared at the tree. It looks so pretty. I had fun making it too, said Miko. We did good, Haruto said, while holding his hands up to Miko. Miko smiled and high-fived his hands. The two of them were happily giggling. After 2 weeks of preparing for Christmas gifts, Miko placed the last gift under the Christmas tree. What do we do now that we're done wrapping all our gifts? Miko asked. Let's wait until tomorrow morning to open them, Haruto said. Miko nodded. The next morning, Haruto, who just woke up, walked downstairs and saw Miko sitting near the Christmas tree, wagging her bunny tail. Miko, if you were that excited about opening gifts, you could have just woke me up, Haruto said, while standing behind Miko. What? Miko's face turned red and her ears went down. It's not like that. I just thought I saw something under the tree, that's all. Haruto couldn't help but laugh. She's way too cute, he thought, as he went to sit next to her. Miko took a present from under the tree and handed it to Haruto. Here, she said. Thanks, Haruto replied as he started opening it. He then saw in a cardboard box a clay figure of an anime character he liked. It was painted too. Haruto took the figure out. You made this? He asked with shock. Miko smiled sheepishly. Yeah, I know I messed up a little I love it, Haruto cut her off. You do? I love it so much. Thank you, Miko. He shrieked with joy while hugging the figure. Miko smiled. I'm so glad. Haruto grabbed a present under the tree and handed it to Miko. Now time for you to open mine, he said. The present was small. After getting rid of the gift wrapping, she found a small black box. When she opened it, there was a silver heart-shaped necklace inside. Whoa! Neko gasped in amazement. It's so beautiful. Do you want me to put it on you? Asked Haruto. Neko nodded and Haruto put it on her. Neko stared down at the necklace. It's so beautiful, Haruto. Thank you so much. Haruto smiled. You look so beautiful in it. Neko leaned against Haruto. I really like this Christmas thing, Haruto. Let's do this again the next time it snows. You know, this is my first time celebrating Christmas too, said Haruto. It is? And I couldn't be more happy spending it with my cute bunny girl. This next story is called Amity's First Starmas Morning by Avthen Diaries. The characters featured in the story are from their light novel in progress called Blind Puppy. It was morning of Starmas Day. Amity woke up smelling the scent of pancakes. She walked, following her nose. Once she went downstairs, she heard the sound of the stove turning on. Morning, dear, her mother said cheerfully. Morning, Mum. What are you doing? Well, dear, special holiday. Why don't you eat some of your candy on the table, and I get you plant flapjacks? Amity felt happy hearing that, so she sat down, eating her sweets. After breakfast, Dana guided Amity to the living room, where Dana had prepared Amity a few gifts. She got a scarf and some art things, but the most lovely gift was at the end. Amity opened it with all her strength to feel the texture of the book. Mother, you got me a cookbook. Yes, dear, and don't worry, I made sure it was in braille writing, just for you. Mum, she stood up, walking over to her mum, giving her a hug with a kiss cheek to cheek. Thank you, Mum, I love it. No problem. Merry Starmas. Amity smiled as she replied, Merry Starmas, Mum. This next story is called Little Bird Shares. It's by fluffymxchi, also known as Ladybug. Little Bird Shares is the story of giving from your own needs to those who need it more. But how does Little Bird do this? Well, the story goes like this. Little Bird lived high on the top of an oak tree with his mum and dad. He slept in a cozy warm nest made by his mother. Winter's icy fingers had crept over the forest, leaving icicles hanging like sparkling diamonds. Below, Franny Fawn and her mum were trying to drink water in the frozen pond. They were breaking the ice with their hooves. In the distance, a rabbit family searched the frozen bushes for a few berries. The pond was frozen, and Little Bird enjoyed watching the human children skating. Beyond the frozen pond, other children were standing by a bonfire roasting marshmallows. Oh, what fun, thought Little Bird. He loved viewing the forest on cold winter nights just before falling asleep. He was cozy, sleeping in his matching hat, scarf and mittens his mum had knit. They were last year's Christmas gift. Morning came, and after a breakfast of worms, Little Bird took his daily flight. Mother cautioned him, watch for hawks and cats, don't go too far. Little Bird promised to be careful. He was an only child and sometimes felt lonely. He wished he had a baby brother like the one Flossie Bunny had last year. Mother Bird was too old to have any more children. Little Bird flew around in circles, happy for the warmth of his outerwear. He spied a little boy below who had holes in his jacket and no hat on his head. Little Bird flew low and dropped his hat on the boy's head. The boy looked up, smiled and waved at Little Bird. The bird flew ahead for a while longer. Soon, he saw a baby squirrel rubbing his paws, trying to warm them. Little Bird flew low and dropped his mittens at the squirrel's feet. That put a smile on the little squirrel's face. Little Bird flew farther and enjoyed watching a baby possum chasing his children across the snow. They were giggling with joy. Soon Little Bird came across another bird family. The mother bird was feeding the baby birds. They stroked her neck with their beaks and Mama Bird fed them. As Little Bird flew onward, he spied a baby mouse in a cornfield. The mouse had nothing on to keep him warm. Little Bird flew low again and dropped his scarf. It landed on a stalk of corn. As Little Bird flew away, he saw the mouse retrieving the scarf. By now, Little Bird was getting cold and decided to return to his warm, cozy nest. When he arrived, Mother asked him, "Little Bird, where are your scarf, mittens and hat?" Little Bird answered, "I saw someone who needed them more than I did." Mother Bird patted her son's head and tucked him into the nest under her warm body. Winter was in full force, with strong winds leaving blankets of snow on the forest bed. Christmas would be coming in 2 weeks. All the woodland creatures were busy decorating their habitats. Mother and Daddy Bird had hung the Christmas lights on the limbs above their nest. The squirrel family had painted pine cones red and green and strung them onto thread. It made a beautiful garland to hang on their tree house roof. The bunny family had a small Christmas tree next to their rabbit burrow. Soon the forest was aglow with Christmas sights and Christmas spirit. Christmas Eve night at midnight, Santa was on his way to the forest where Little Bird lived. Suddenly, he saw a little bird fall from a nest. Santa and the deer swooped down and Santa caught the bird in his hands. He tucked him inside his coat pocket for warmth. Off flew the deer towards the forest. Shortly after midnight, on Christmas Eve night, a strange sound was heard in the sky above the forest. Soon the deer landed in a forest clearing. Out came a jolly-looking man dressed in red with white fur. It was Santa Claus. Santa spoke. "Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas, one and all! Here are gifts for you." He handed out gifts to each family. Santa called to Little Bird. "Little one, come here please. I saw you sharing with others. You gave away your warmth to make others warm. This is a special gift for you." Santa gave Little Bird a beautiful shiny gold package. Inside was a red striped scarf, hat and mittens knit by Mrs. Claus. Santa handed Mama Bird the baby bird. Santa told her, "This little bird fell out of his nest, and the mother bird did not come to get him. You will be a good mother to him." Little Bird squealed with delight. "Oh, I have a baby brother." Santa told Little Bird, "May your outerwear make you as warm as your kind heart. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year one and all." Santa's sleigh disappeared into the sky. Next up is a Christmas story by Lilas Duveteux. Trying to join a public ball at Christmas was a mistake. The morning of the 25th of December, after some begging, Charles Henry managed to convince his father to let him attend a public party, with the saying that next year, if he returns intact, his siblings would also be allowed to go. Unfortunately, this year of 1753, it was a disaster and had to make an undignified escape from the public celebration, humiliated but completely unscathed. He returned to the Sanson estate. As the son of the executioner, he knew living a normal social life was impossible to him. He knew that, but it still hurt and he couldn't help but blush with shame. Arriving at his bed, he couldn't help but cry. Maybe he was indeed that impure and undeserving of acceptance. After some time, he felt a cold bony hand through his coat, which he recognized as the hand of his grandmother. Even if her wrinkles seemed to have frozen her face in an expression of mad anger, she looked more gentle than usual. Now, I knew nothing good would come out of that," she said quite plainly. "But why?" he answered. He was sick of the constant rejection outsiders showed him. He attempted to attend school, becoming even the top of his class, despite the fact his poor understanding of the habits of outsiders causing him to become a frequent target of bullying. And that was despite him embracing the values his teachers taught him with diligence. How sick of it he was. "Does it really matter?" she answered. As he rose from his bed, a paper slipped from his pocket. It was a drawing of a note. "Thank you to my dear friend." He picked it up in surprise. "Who gave this to you?" As he rose from his bed, a paper slipped from his pocket. It was a drawing with a note. "Thank you to my dear friend." He picked it up in surprise. "Who gave this to you?" Aunt Martha the matriarch asked, her voice once again filled with a sweetness and softness unbeknown to her. "It's the protege I had at boarding school. He gave it to me on my birthday. But when he learned about father, he turned his back," he explained, not knowing why it felt so good to trust her. The elderly lady took the note from her grandson's hand. "Surely you don't need a memory of such a false friend," she said before ripping it. With a gesture, she made him follow her downstairs. With an absent-minded gesture, she tossed the pieces of the paper into the fireplace. Charles Henry couldn't help but feel hurt, despite knowing it wasn't rational. It was quite unfair to force a mere boy to fake his identity for years. There would be no need for that now. "Now, go fetch your hair comb and return here to sit." He obeyed, eager for praise. Tired, the matriarch also sat on the sofa of the living room and soon rang the small bell to call in the maid and ask for a carafe of water and a glass. 5 minutes later, all was ready, and Charles Henry handed his grandmother his comb. With mothering gestures, she untied the ribbon that kept his long strands in a ponytail and loosened his artificial curls into their natural shape with her comb, thoroughly returning his hair to their natural state. Nobody had ever touched him like that. It was so warm to his heart it was almost burning. Tears streamed down his cheeks. She took the front strands, which were too long, in order to mix them with the hair at the back of his head. She stroked his hair gently, until, snip, 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 she achieved the bangs worn by most of his father's assistants and sometimes schoolboys, at least those who weren't too bald for it. Much better now. The fake you was only so you would have an education, nothing more. May you not even remember it. Your duty to the world is as heir of Charles Jean-Baptiste Sanson, executioner des Hautes Abbés de Paris, not as a Jesuit educated surgeon you naively aspire to be. Starting on this Christmas Day, these foolish childish lies end. Attempts to gain the love of the crowd through falsehood will give you nothing but pain. Remember this, my darling. It was true. But he couldn't kill. He just couldn't. But I cannot kill. Not in cold blood, at least. Silly boy. Forget your illusions, she said, before gulping down the water the maid had brought. She stood up to leave and retreated to her warm room. Before she could do so, the boy embraced her. Please, can I stay next to you a little longer? New tears pooling in his eyes. He wanted to again feel the painful but also wonderful warmth in his chest. In all response, she said, Go train, hugs later. Yes, grandmother. It was just so reasonable. This next story is called Campa's First Christmas by SSJGarfield. It features characters from his webcomic, My Neighbor is a Parasaurolophus. With help from Misaki, Campa gets her first taste of Christmas. Campa's First Christmas. Campa wakes up from the cold on a crisp and frosty December morning after a good night's rest due to a long day at work on the previous day. As she rubs her eyes, Campa opens the curtains to see what the weather is like, and to her surprise and confusion, everything was covered in a thick layer of snow. What is all this? Campa wonders. Snow was something Campa rarely saw during her days in the late Cretaceous period, and it was always a sign for her herd to migrate south for the winter. But she never saw this much snow in her life. What also surprised her was that most of the people in her street were not only staying home, but even playing in the snow, instead of mass migrating to warmer regions. Luckily, it's her day off from work, so after having a warm shower and dressing up, she decides to check out the snow for herself and see what's so fun about it. Despite putting on the thickest coat she had, Campa still felt like she was freezing her tail off. Good morning, Campa, a cheerful but familiar male voice explains. Good morning, Campa, a cheerful but familiar male voice exclaims. Oh, hey, Misaki. Campa greets back at her friend. Quite a chilly day, isn't it? It sure is, Misaki responds. I was about to do some shopping. Would you like to come along? I would love to, Campa exclaims cheerfully. I seem to be running low on some provisions as well. So what's on the shopping list today, Misaki? Campa wonders. Well, first I need some groceries at 7-Eleven, Misaki responds. But after that, I'll need to get a tree. A tree? What for? Campa asks. Why, for Christmas, of course, Misaki responds. Eh? Christmas? What is this Christmas? Campa asks. Is that another of your species' holidays, like Halloween? Oh, that's right. I almost forgot. You only got here this summer, Misaki responds in an embarrassed tone. That's where Misaki explains what Christmas entails and all the traditions surrounding the holiday. So, if I get this straight, it started as a celebration of the winter by ancient tribes, and winter celebrating the birth of a prophet, and then developed into a gift-giving holiday revolving around a chubby, bearded guy traveling the world in a flying sleigh that is pulled by reindeer to deliver presents? Campa asks. That's about the gist of it, Misaki says in response. After getting the groceries, Misaki and Campa headed to a store where they sell Christmas trees. Something smells good here, Campa says cheerfully, until they arrived at the stall. Wait, I've seen these trees in my time. Their needles and cones are so tasty, Campa exclaims in an excited tone. I wouldn't eat these if I were you, Campa-chan. a deep female voice with a thick East African accent exclaims. Both Campa and Misaki look up to see a tall, dark-skinned, noseless woman with a strange nasal crest. Branka-san, Campa explains as she recognizes the giant woman. Oh hey Branka-san, Misaki exclaims as he too recognizes her. Good morning, looking for a Christmas tree as well? Branka asks. We sure are, Campa responds. Funny thing is, I didn't know about Christmas until Misaki-kun told me about it. Is that so? Now I feel silly not telling you about it earlier, Branka responds in an embarrassed tone. Anyway, I would like to invite you to the cafe's Christmas party on the 24th. Are you able to join us? That sounds like fun. Your Halloween party was a blast, so why not? Campa responds. Sure, I can make it, Misaki answers in an excited tone. Splendid, Branka exclaims. Splendid, Branka exclaims. I'll see you then. I will let you know what time we'll start. Sounds like a plan, Campa said to her employer as they entered the store to look for a Christmas tree. While Misaki and Campa each picked a modest 5-foot tall tree, Branka picked a large 10-foot tall tree for the cafe. In the days before the party, Misaki and Campa helped each other put up and decorate their trees. Campa tried to eat some of the needle-like leaves of her tree, but she didn't really like it. Christmas Eve arrived, and the party at the Mosaic Maid Cafe was about to start. A large table was set near the large Christmas tree where Branka, Campa, Misaki, and all the other staff members sat down while wishing each other a Merry Christmas. Not long after, an old lady with weird horns and protrusions on her head and face came in. Sorry I'm late, Branka-san. I had some troublemakers to deal with at the shop, the old lady said as she apologizes for being late. No problem, Mira-san. We were about to begin anyway, Branka said to her old mentor. Then Mira notices Campa and Misaki sitting at the table. Oh, hello, my dears. Merry Christmas, Mira said in a tired but friendly tone. Merry Christmas, Mira-san, Campa replies cheerfully to her landlord. Great to see you again, Misaki replied. How have you been? I'm doing fine, my dear boy, Mira replies as she takes a seat next to Campa. Branka picks up a glass and taps it with a spoon to get the attention of the guests. I want to thank you all for coming to our annual Christmas party. This year will be more special than usual because we have 2 new members of our cafe family. Give a warm welcome to Campa and Misaki, Branka says as giving a speech. Welcome and Merry Christmas, Campa and Misaki. All the other staff members cheered as they welcomed Campa and Misaki to the party. So thank you so much for watching part 1 of my Christmas collaboration video. And thank you to all the artists who participated in part 1 of this challenge. Thank you to fluffymxchi with Yara and Yuna, to Nullrick with Trish The Elf, Nicksartcafe with Fuyumi Chikako, Alexander Schulze with Ryoma and Neko from their upcoming light novel Monster Morphers. Thank you to Cinderella 90 Hime Art with Boba Night. Thank you to JustinXcrafter with Kristmas the New Guardian. Thank you to Theodore Knight, also known as izbblacknight on Instagram, with Azrael Azul and Valentino White. Thank you to Gilberto de Jesus Trinidad Ruiz with his character Prokuneus. And thank you to all the authors with your wonderful stories, Spending Christmas with My Cute Bunny Girl by Catgirl, Amity's First Starmas Morning by Avthen Diarie, Little Bird Shares by Mary-Achi, also known as Ladybug, A Christmas Story by Lilas Duveteux, and Campa's First Christmas by SSJGarfield. If you want to see many more amazing Christmas themed art submissions and stories, make sure to click on the card right here or visit the next part in the description box down below.